Marine Le Pen, is she a far-right candidate for the presidency of France? Or is she more moderate, or even center-left, as some claim? We'll take a look at it today. We know the media pushes far-right scree on Marine Le Pen, and there's a pretty good reason besides just possible laziness on the part of the media. It's that in Europe, particularly, but throughout the West now, describing somebody as far right harkens to the Nazi era, and it delegitimizes your opponent. So you'll get the left, center, and even center-right doing their best to characterize anyone who disagrees with them as far-right. Even people like Dave Rubin, a gay liberal commentator, Sargon Akkad, who is a squishy liberal of the classical liberal school, and even someone like PewDiePie, which, you know, it's hard to believe. But that's the tactic. It's a pretty lazy tactic, but it's a pretty effective tactic. At least it has proved so up to now. And even conservative or moderately conservative commentators still refer to Marine Le Pen as being far right. I was watching a video from the Britisher a few days ago where he was talking about Marine Le Pen as far right and questioning where she was coming from on the political spectrum and her ability to become elected in France. So I figured, let's take a look. Let's find out what's really the case. Is she far right? Is she more of a populist, like Donald Trump is? Are they two of the same? Somebody who has as much moderate or even center-left policies as they do right? Or is she still the traditional National Front candidate, you know, anti-Semitic, anti-gay, anti-abortion? So let's take a look. I figured together we can figure this out. I get to use my degree in political science from a top 100 university to help analyze this document. This is the 144 promises that Marine Le Pen has put out as policies if she is elected president of France. So we can look through this together. I've done the translations as best as I'm able. My French is somewhat limited, but we have had a little help with the translating. It's still sketchy in some parts, but for the most part, I think we can figure out what she's saying. So let's look at it together. See if you agree with each of the points where I mark as either right-wing, left-wing, or populist. So this is her contract with France. It opens up with a pretty, normal boilerplate French statement of wanting to fix the country in 5 years, return money to the people. She does go into problems with globalists and globalism in her opening statement, which would lead one to believe to be a little bit more populist in orientation. A Free France, which is the first chapter of this 144 political points. The first one, to regain our freedoms and mastery of our destiny by restoring to the people sovereignty. This is questioning membership in the European Union. Definitely a populist political point. Go to 2 is pretty internal to French politics. So we'll go to 3. This is changing the makeup of how National Assembly members, their Congress, are chosen. This populist. 5, create referendums, populist. And number 6 is somewhat interesting. I put this as populist, but it should be common sense. France currently has 6 levels of political division, which is even more than the United States. The United States has cities, counties, states, and then the federal government. France currently has 6. Currently, France is divided up into regions, departments. The departments are divided up into arrondissements. The arrondissements are divided down into cantons, and then the lowest level is the commune, which equates to what you Americans would consider as a city. Marine Le Pen would have this shortened to just 3, making the commune much more powerful as being the closest to the people. So this was definitely a populist political point. With the next page, it looks like we got guaranteeing freedoms of expression and digital freedoms, populist. 8, constitutional charter for data protection, populist. Number 9, this is leftist, defending women's rights and establishing a national plan for equal pay to combat social and professional insecurity. Definitely left. 10 and 11 are both right-wing policies dealing with freedom of education for 11, and 10 is controlling trade unions, it looks like. Chapter 2, they say France. Yeah, this page looks like it's almost all right-wing policies. This is restoring the rule of law. First one is populist, even with some left-wing leanings. Restoring security by ensuring individual freedoms. But 13, we go right into right-wing, massive rearmament of the French forces. They probably need it. They're a little bit on the weak side of the spectrum right now. 14 is refocusing the gendarmerie and police. Gendarmerie is their military police, but it serves a civilian function in France. It's kind of like a county sheriff's department. The national police handle the larger cities, and the gendarmerie, the countryside, and as well as securing national buildings and monuments and things like that, as well as doing the military police work. 15, 16, anti-crime measures. 17, 18, 19, and 20 are all anti-crime measures. The 19 is establishing life sentences. Currently, life sentence in France is 17 years, and you're eligible to be released. 21 looks like it's a populist, restoring the expulsion for criminals who commit offenses. All right, on the next page, we're going to skip over the ones that are parochials of France, or just items that would be extremely moderate and not controversial. So 24, restoring the national borders, populist. Looks like 25, 26, 27, and 28 are all dealing with immigration issues, naturalization, populist. With 29, we get into something that would be considered both right-wing and populist, the banning of Islamist and expelling foreigners who have Islamist fundamentalist views, and particularly those with S-files. S-files are people who are on the DGSI watch list. That's the French version of the FBI. 30, 31, 32, 33 are all pretty right-wing. 33 being almost Gaullist, restoring the national unworthiness for individuals guilty of crimes and Islamist terrorism. This is the degradation nationale, a criminal offense that Charles de Gaulle instituted after World War II to punish Nazi sympathizers and members of the Vichy regime. It's basically taking away the rights to vote and professional membership and to hold office. Usually it's a 5-year to lifetime term. So this is interesting. She wishes to bring this back. And of course 33, again, more counterintelligence and counterterrorism, right-wing. Chapter 3, a more prosperous France. This starts off with both liberal and populist views. We're talking about state helping the economy, French companies facing unfair international competition, consumer protection, fair competition, prohibit the import of products that compete with French products, economic patriotism, workers' rights, unfair competition, protection of strategic sectors, and with 41 being preventing the transfer of companies from the public sector to private and then being transferred out of the country for a period of 10 years, and increase budget for research. 43 is a populist, talking with fiscal fraud and poor spending policies. We got 45, 46, and 47 dealing with corporate income tax and conservative capitalist policies. Back to left wing with 49 and 50, free access to credit for small and very small enterprises, preferential rates, and lowering interest rates for individuals and small entities, pretty left wing. 52 is also a leftist policy, keeping the retirement age at 60, which the conservative Republicans are pushing for 65. Number 54, once again, increasing payments to widows and orphans and tax exemptions for retirement pensions for large families, leftist. Same with 55. 56 is a little bit more back to the conservative viewpoint of capitalism, which is the ability to pass more money to your children and your grandchildren each year or each 5-year period. The acting for purchasing power, which are 58 through 63. These are all left-wing or center-left policies, economic policies. Chapter 4, A Just France. Well, this looks pretty bleak for the right wing. We start off with 65, guaranteeing Social Security and health insurance reimbursement, leftist, center-left. The 67 is the fighting medical deserts, which is trying to keep physicians in rural areas. That could be populist or center-left. 68, 69, 70, public health service, Social Security risk, more money for startups and the government assisting to the health care system. 73, food and safety code, health safety codes, all pretty center-left. The populist and right wing would probably like the reducing income tax on the 3 lowest tiers, but we're back with center-left policies with 76 and 78, and so the French left has been pushing the tax evasion issue. 80, denouncing doing away with tax treaties to the Gulf countries. It's pretty populist. 82, job schemes. Well, that's going to be left. 88, dealing with adults with disabilities. That would be center left. 89, employment with fighting discrimination. About pretty left. Chapter 5, A Proud France. Well, here we are with the right wing and populist, pretty much. That's all it is. 91, defending the national identity and values and the traditional French civilization. Secularism, which you would think would be universal, but with the center-left supporting Islamism into the French society. Not so much anymore. Meritocracy, which is big ideal of the French Revolution. The right wing and populist are very much into those policies. 100, defending the unity and integrity of French territories. Pretty much all right wing are populist now. 103, also pretty populist and more meritocracy with 105. We skew back into the center left with a France who creates and shines. That's the closest I could get with rayon, which is doesn't come out with shine, but pretty close. 108, strengthening the network of French schools around the world. That seems center left. 112, national plan for creation of crafts and establishing a network of artist nurseries and music education. Yeah, that seems pretty center left to me. Next page, 103. We're back onto what I would put as center right, respecting of school authority, school uniforms, more of the meritocracy ideal of the republic. Then 110, building a heritage program, more money into public preservation. It's probably center, maybe center left. 112, launching a major national plan for creation of the artisan nurseries again. Chapter 6, A Powerful France. We go back into a left wing or populist with 118, leaving NATO. I don't think the U.S. would be particularly happy with that, or the conservative or right wing. 19, this is a right wing policy. Autonomous defense capacity, which is increasing their ability to manufacture their own weaponry. 121, increase the defense budget by 2% of the GDP. Pretty right wing. Make France a major country in the world. This is going to be a left wing, maybe populist policy, putting France in a more multipolar world, talking about the right of nations and respect and independence. 124 is definitely left, implementing a co-development policy with countries in Africa based on aid for primary schools and improvement of agricultural systems. Pretty left there. Chapter 7, Sustainable France. We're going right into both populist and center-left policies, economic patriotism, talking about their agricultural products. 126, agricultural policy, that's going to be populist, wanting to refuse trade agreements such as TAFTA and CETA. 128, simplifying daily life for farmers by stopping the explosion of standards, administrative measures, and encouraging the settlement of young farmers through tax deductions. Seems center-left. And 29, defending quality, unfair competition. That could be center-left or populist as well. 131, I didn't mark it, but that certainly looks like it's going to be a center-left policy as well. Dealing with the environment, uncontrolled globalization and trade. So it has leftist as well as populist sentiments in that. 132 is the fight against fuel poverty, which is, and 133, we're looking at renewable energy sectors. That's everything on this page looks like it's pretty left. 135, hydropower. 136, prohibiting shale gas exploration. 137, animal welfare. 138, equal access to public services. 141 is a housing scheme, especially for young people. Looks pretty center-left policy. And then finally, the last page, they look center-left policies as well, streamlining and simplifying urban planning, making the housing market fairer, and protecting the environment. 144 is investment in infrastructure, especially in rural areas. So center-left, maybe populist on that as well. So looking at the document as a whole, there seems to be almost as many center-left policies as center-right, with a heavy distribution of populist policies as well. So it would be difficult for me to characterize Marine Le Pen's position as anything but centrist, at least with what she's putting here. Though there are segments, definitely with the defense spending, the anti-terrorism and immigration policies that are right-wing populist, but quite a few of her other policies dealing with environment, energy, financing are center-left. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to just characterize her in one camp or the other. Pretty much unique, very much in the model of Donald Trump, and especially the way Donald Trump appears to be governing right now. And when you add Marine Le Pen's previous statements on pro-choice for abortion policy, as well as her denunciation of anti-Semitism, it gets difficult to characterize her as just far right. Well, I hope this helps. If you agree with me or disagree with me on this analysis of these different points of Ms. Le Pen's, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you really like it, please consider subscribing to this channel. It is how we grow. Once again, thank you very much, and vive la France.